Why, hello. How are you this lovely afternoon? I am well. Thank you so much for asking. Yes, okay. This is coming very naturally. Feels good. It feels real good. Where have I been? What have I been doing? I feel like that's a great question. I've been everywhere, man. I've been from here to there, man. I don't know where the time went. I feel like it just gone by in an instant and somehow taken an excruciating long time. I think everyone feels that way right now, but having said that, here we are again. It's July. I can't remember the last time I did a show. I don't even know if there was COVID the last time I did a show because I don't fucking remember and I don't care to check. So here we are. I hope all is well with you, or is at least as well can be. This is kind of a scary, weird, creepy time. The only good thing about living in Winnipeg is, in fact, that no one wants to live here. So much so that COVID is down to, I think we're down to 18 or so cases right now, which is phenomenal. I've been home on an unpaid leave from work. We have a special leave that's for childcare and nurturing. And I haven't been doing much nurturing, to be totally honest with you guys. It's been rough. It has been rough. These kids hate each other, kind of like Tom and Jerry. I'm trying to think of how I would best describe this time being at home with my kids as their primary caregiver, and somehow working my mom in there too, taking care of her and her fucking huge house and her fucking huge garden and her fucking huge yard and her fucking huge driveway and her fucking huge ass all at the same time. It all kind of just happened. Back to the Tom and Jerry thing, just one brief example. Just now, they were on their way to grandma's house. To grandmother's house they go. Thank the sweet Lord baby Jesus. I am so fucking happy that they are not here. And on the way out, for no apparent reason at all, completely unprovoked, Stella, Bo Bella, Banana Fana Faux Fella, grabs a shoe and starts beating Malcolm over the head with it for no real apparent reason except her own enjoyment. And that's just one. That's just one instance. There's this really fun game that not Janice being my sister, asked Stella one day, "Do you know any bad words?" And she did. So she whispered, "Stupid, dummy." And ever since that day, my sister's been bugging her about stupid and dummy this and dummy and stupid that, and those are bad words. So for, I'd say, 6 to 8 weeks now, my darling daughter, who has a bit of a warrior's soul, has been screaming at the top of her fucking lungs, "Stupid" and "dummy" in the car for, like every single trip we ever take in the car. And then it inevitably leads to a tiny little fist fight in the backseat of my car whilst she's screaming at the top of her lungs. And she will hit him and he will hit her and they will just hit each other. And I one day lost my ever-loving mind. I went completely fucking insane. Because I don't even think I have to say because I think you know because, if you know what I mean. And I looked back at them. And in a car, the sound just bounces off the side of the car and it just pierces your eardrums. Like, I want you to imagine the highest pitch scream. Like imagine a child who takes a really deep breath, fills their lungs with air, and then just screams as loud and as high and as long as they fucking can. Which for my daughter is a long fucking time. And I looked over at them and I'm just like, shut up. None of this, "Oh, sweetheart, is something wrong? Are you having feelings you'd like to share with the rest of us?" No, it was just, shut up. Just shut up. You shut up and you shut up and both of you just shut the hell up until we get to the house. Now, I'm sorry. That's the fucking truth. Because some days you just want to grab their heads and knock them together. The fucking knuckleheads. I don't know how many times I can say nicely, just don't talk. Look out your own windows. Don't touch each other. Leave each other alone. Stop saying stupid. Don't say dummy. It's not funny. It's not interesting. Cut it the fuck out. And I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. So that's just one aspect of my COVID situation, and it is my nature to focus on the things that drive me fucking insane and not stop talking about them or thinking about them. But there have been good times, I guess, I'm sure. I feel like I just wish my kids would get along. And my other friends who have kids, their kids don't fight like that. I mean, they may not get along and seek each other out for company, but they aren't constantly in this state of like trying to kill each other. They take turns trying to kill each other. The only time they ever have an interaction, it's like a duel, and inevitably one of them ends up crying. And all I want to do is just drink my fucking coffee. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's the one thing I do for myself all day is I am going to drink this hot cup of coffee, and the whole world is going to pause for fucking 9 minutes while I drink it, and I go on Twitter and see what the fuck that idiot Donald Trump is up to now. And that's about it. And that was 6.5 minutes of my trauma. Thank you so much for being there for me. Maybe you have little kids. Maybe you want little kids. I would do it again. I would do it again. I would have kids again, without question. Just some days are harder than others. And today was a particularly hard day. So I think that's where my head's at. But I'm sure something good has happened. Okay. So there's just a couple quick stories I want to... Oh, pardon me. Pardon me. I'm leaving that in. That's a jar. That's a jar, ladies and gentlemen, because I have filled this podcasting closet with jars. And I've started a bunch of stupid loser hobbies. Remember when everybody was starting a sourdough thing and we all laughed at how ridiculous and stupid and like loserish it is? And then I did it. Like I just made sourdough English muffins upstairs. And I fucking hate myself so much. It's like, when did this happen? I have a distinct memory in my brain of making ravioli from scratch and watching The Notebook. And then everything went black after that. I think that's just who I am now. I don't know why. Like, I made my own bacon. I smoked my own bacon in my barbecue. Like, was I ever cool? I don't think I ever was anyway. But this is a particular time where I feel like such a fucking loser. It's okay. You know what? I'm going back to work on Monday. It's going to be fine. It's only been like plus 40 degrees here, which I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb and say maybe that's like 120 if you're a Fahrenheit people-ish. I don't know. It's just muggy and hot, and it makes you want to slit your fucking wrists. So I can't wait to go back because I am completely deconditioned. I have no tolerance for heat or bullshit, and it should be great. Can't wait. Can't wait to sweat off this quarantine 15. Oh, speaking of quarantine 15. All right, I've got a couple lovely stories for you. I don't know where to start. Okay, I'm going to start with my darling daughter. She so thoughtfully said, I'm going to paint you. And if this is your first show, maybe you don't know, but my mother-in-law tells me on a regular basis, and she just mentioned it last weekend, that I look like the Mona Lisa. And I just looked at her and I could not stop laughing. And I'm like, you are so sweet that you say that. You have no idea that that is not a compliment. And she just looked at me and I'm like, it's okay. You know, she's just like a kind of fat, middle-aged, dumpy woman with a smirk on her face because she's trying not to murder her children. That's what I think that's all about. So we do have a lot in common, I guess. So Stella, my darling Stella Bella, she said she was going to paint me. And then she's just sitting there very studiously, looking at me, looking at the paper. And she says, okay, brown hair, big belly. And I was just like, come on, man, like I'm right here. But she doesn't know she's doing anything wrong. Just like my mother-in-law has no idea that the Mona Lisa is not a compliment at all, in any way, shape, or form. Okay, the other story I want to tell you about my quarantine 15 is there was another time I took my children who fought all the way to the park. It's just me. This is just my problem. They fought all the way to the park, and then finally they separated, and Malcolm went on his bike, which he just learned to ride a two-wheeler in April. Yay. He did it because he was bribed. He tried to ride a two-wheeler because he was bribed, but now he's very good at it. Yeah. I know. They separate. Stella and I are going down the path. She's on her scooter, and there's two kids coming towards us, both also on scooters. And the girl is feeling pretty timid, and her, I'm assuming, brother, who they seem to have a really nice relationship, and they didn't scream at each other and like scrap out every 7 to 8 minutes. He looks back at her and he's like, don't be scared. There's no one here except for that fat lady. Okay, like I know what you're thinking, right? Because I know what I was thinking. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe he said that. Like, I know he was just whispering, but I thought the lady behind me is going to be really upset. Like, that's like kind of mean. I guess. Like, not Mona Lisa mean, but it's kind of mean, right? So I'm just like, oh man, she's going to be so embarrassed. So we keep walking. They go by us. And then I wait what I think is an appropriate amount of time. And I turn around because I want to see the fat lady too. And there was no one there. I was in fact the fat lady that child should not have been afraid of. Okay, yeah, so that was cool. I mean, that also, yeah, whatever. C'est la vie. I mean, could be worse. Whatever, man. Whatever. It's okay. It's fine. I'm over it. There was an initial shock, and then it just kind of just made me laugh because it's like, yeah, okay. And then I told Not Janice that story. She also laughed. And then she said, oh, were you wearing that tie-dyed shirt you have that's kind of like horizontal stripes? Fuck off. And I know you're wondering, why do I have a tie-dyed shirt that has horizontal stripes? And why the fuck would I wear that in public? Mind your own fucking business. How about that? Other things you need to know that I've been up to. I cut down one of my mom's apple trees that has been dead for a few years now. And I did the responsible thing. I hired someone. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I proceeded to cut down that tree while standing on a bucket with a reciprocating saw with a dull blade, because I like to live dangerously. The neighbors were out on their deck watching me, which is also super. I'm guessing they were taking bets on what I was going to hurt when. Just a guess, because I know I would be doing that if I were them. I would be drinking every time I mumbled a swear. I would take a shot, that kind of thing. Only one branch landed on my head. And there was a point where I'm like, like my mom is inside on the couch and she would have no fucking idea if I cut my arm off with that thing. And I don't know, like, would I be able to dial 911 for myself? And I decided that no, I wouldn't have been able to. So there was just poor choices being made all around. So I am out of luck. That's all the luck I had. And it was exhausted at that point. Other things you need to know. This is going to be a quick, punchy show. Ain't nobody got time for this, okay? I gotta go. My kids are gone. I haven't been alone in I don't know how fucking long. It feels like a million fucking years, although it's probably not. If you don't know, my mom is supposed to be on a low-salt diet, and she's really mean about it. So she doesn't go out of the house. Like, she's little miss agoraphobic, and now it's finally working in her favor because of this whole COVID nonsense. Now, I've had a box of salt stashed out at my mom's house in her kitchen, what I thought was well out of her reach in what she calls the Lazy Lucy, which is really a Lazy Susan, hidden under a bunch of pot lids. So I thought, she's never going to get off her ass and fucking go rummage through there. I clearly thought wrong. One morning I went there to check her weight and she had gained 6 pounds, which is not good. If you have congestive heart failure, that is very, very bad, in fact. So I had to give her one of the pee all day pills, which she hated. And I went around and I'm like, wait a minute, because I have a little salt shaker, so I'll put a teaspoon of salt in there to last her for a couple days, because she's not supposed to even have a teaspoon in one day. And you got to remember, there's salt in bread, there's salt in milk, there's salt in cheese, there's salt in fucking everything unless you make it completely from scratch by yourself. So I look at the salt shaker. It's full. Well, that's weird. So I text my sister. Did you fill the salt shaker? No. And then I go look for my box of salt that I've hidden in the Lazy Lucy, and it's gone. So now we play this wonderful round of where's the salt? And I said, where's the box of salt? She's like, what salt? I said, the salt that you found. Where is it? I don't have any salt. You have the salt. No, I don't. What salt? Do you have salt? I want salt. I'm like, fuck off. I'm like, listen, you old bitch. Pardon me. Jars again. I'm like, listen, you old bitch. You have the fucking salt somewhere. I don't have any salt. How did the salt shaker get filled up? I don't know. The devil filled it. Ugh, fuck. Well, this is fun. I really enjoy our talks, like, here, take your pill, enjoy pissing all day, and giving me a heart attack and stressing me out. Hope you enjoyed yourself. Now, here's where I come to the conclusion that I am not from very bright stock, because if she were smart, she wouldn't have taken the entire box of salt and filled her salt shaker. What she would have done is taken the salt from the box itself, and she could have used that for a month before I even fucking noticed. There's no way I would have noticed, but she's not all that bright, and neither am I. So that was fun. Ultimately, I did find the salt box. She hid it with the flour. That was that. So I took it home. Yada, yada, yada. She's pretty mad. And all she wants to eat in the world, listen to this, Lipton's chicken noodle soup mix and cream of mushroom soup, both of which would kill her. I'm going to say in a couple days, she'd probably gain like 6 pounds. Then the next day she'd gain another 6 pounds. And then she'd be dead. Yeah. Okay. Great. Is that elder abuse if I don't give it to her or I do give it to her? I think both. Whatever. I then proceeded to make her a salt-free, maybe not entirely delicious meal, but it was salt-free. I made her like eggplant and peppers and onions and garlic, and it's like all cooked up and fried and delicious, and you eat that on toast. And she said, this tastes like a nice cup of shit. Okay. Yeah, so I'm interviewing for like new moms. If anyone has a mom that like, you know, is wonderful and nice. I prefer my salty, stupid asshole mom because she's kind of mean, but she's kind of hilarious, but she's totally infuriating. So lucky me. Okay, so that's about it. I know you're thinking like, how? How could you possibly sum up 3 months in 17 and a half minutes? With ease, because there was not a whole heck of a lot going on. There was a period where I was actually quite afraid because I was worried. Things were kind of starting to double here. The numbers were doubling. Things were on track for this to be a real fucking shit show in Manitoba. And then everyone just stayed the fuck home and shut everything down, and no one's been traveling. I am concerned about the second wave. I'm assuming there will be one because no one who can afford to not be in Manitoba in the winter will want to be here. And then I'm also assuming that shit's going to hit the fan pretty fucking hard when people start going to Mexico and wherever the fuck else they go. So I have to wait and see. Because I worry about my young Malcolm. He's got allergies and asthma, and he has a flu. It takes him out for 6 or 7 days. This could really do some damage, so it freaks me out. Hence the unpaid leave from work. I'm going back on Monday, so could you guys just collectively kind of like, I don't care what you do, just send me thoughts and prayers on Monday, could you please? And like, maybe better still, like actual physical labor. Could you just like message me and I'll tell you where I'm going to be working. And then if you could just come and like physically just deliver like 4 or 5 blocks and I'll do the rest. Like, would you mind? Could you just please? If not, just the thoughts and prayers. Then we'll be fine. That'll be fine. Like, can you go through some kind of psychosis due to heat exhaustion? I wouldn't mind. Oh, God. All right. So if you need anything, change of address 69@gmail.com. I have got to change that. I don't know why I thought that was so fucking funny. I started this show when I was like, what, 32, 33, and I thought that was hilarious. Like, oh, what a fucking douchebag. And listen, if you go back, like, let's say this is your first show, and you're like, oh, I wonder what this stupid idiot has been doing for the past, I don't know, I'm trying to think, 7 years? Oh my God, that is frightening. That is a frightening length of time to have a podcast. Look around. Everyone does a show. They do, on average, 9 shows, and the whole thing sinks. And I don't blame them. This isn't an easy thing to do. It's pretty thankless, which is fine. Look, I'm not saying anything. I think you're all wonderful people. I do a show right now once every 4 months. This is a quarterly podcast. But I think people get into this and they're like, oh yeah, this is going to be so much fun. And I'm going to put out these shows and someone's going to give a shit. And then they're going to write me that I'm so great. And then they're going to give me money. And it's like, oh, sweetheart, no. No, they won't. They won't. And every once in a while you'll get an email and it'll be like, yeah. And then you'll get a shitty iTunes review and it'll be like, oh. And then you'll get a good iTunes review and you'll be like, yes. And then you'll still only think about the bad iTunes reviews because it makes you feel really bad and shitty. Anyway, point being, if this is your first show, you're long gone. You are clearly, I lost you at the Mona Lisa. You did not like my statements there. And then you turn this off and you're going to go right to iTunes and be clickety-clack about what a fucking miserable cunt I am and I don't understand art. Both of those statements are true. Very good, sir. You've won this round. Anyway, so if this is your first show and you go back and you listen to some stuff, I have said some dumb fucking shit in my life. I have said some shit I deeply, deeply regret. And you know what? Look around. It's just not the time to say dumb racist shit, even though I think it's funny because it's so ridiculous that anyone would actually think that. that to me, it's funny because it's like opposite land. But if you go back and listen, I said some dumb shit. And I'm sorry, like it was meant in jest, but it's also kind of like, no, you can't. But, you know, we're changing, we're evolving. And if I don't cringe, then I'm not learning shit. So I guess I'm trying to like pat myself on the back and be like, oh, it's okay. It's okay. You said racist dumb shit and you referred to people as the R word, which I wouldn't even say now. So I'm changing. I'm looking around. And it's easy to sit there and say, well, you can't fucking say anything. And I get that too. But at the same time, like, no, you can't. Like, I'm talking to myself. This is myself talking to myself. You can't say that. Like, those words are retired now. And they're not cool. And if you can't, like, I want to say be interesting, but I don't know that I've ever been interesting. And especially right now, I have not. But you have to be able to, like, go past those words and think of another way to say something fucking completely stupid and boring. Which I'm trying to do. I am trying to do that. I also want you guys to know that when I cured that bacon with the smoke on my barbecue, I put it in my drink fridge. So every time I take a sip of my cherry vanilla Coke, it tastes like smoke, which is also undesirable. Racism, undesirable. Smoked cherry vanilla Coke, undesirable. Things to know. Okay, leave me an iTunes review. You can tell me you hate the Mona Lisa, that you love the Mona Lisa, that you like racism, that you don't like racism, that you liked when I objectified women, that you like that I don't objectify women, and perhaps maybe I will objectify them in future. I don't know. I don't know. I'm still gay. I still find women attractive. But I am very much aware that women are people because I am a people. You see what I mean? Okay, you get it. You get it. Okay, where did I leave off? iTunes review. You can friend me on Facebook if you want. You can join the Change of Address Facebook closed group if you like. Oh, and a wonderful young man has started a podcast. I know, wait a second. Another podcast? Remember when no one knew what podcasts were? And now every fucking person in the universe, including myself, but I feel like I've been grandfathered into the Losers Club. Because it's been like 10 years since I started podcasting altogether. So I feel like it's okay for me to be a loser because, well, you know what? Just because everyone's doing something doesn't make it totally lame unless it's sourdough starter. That makes you a total fucking loser. Anyway, there's a wonderful young man. His name is David Mex Hernandez. If you ever listen to the 40-Year-Old Boy podcast, that does not roll off my tongue very easily. He is a friend of that show. I don't think he's my friend, but I have gotten him to do some lovely artwork for my mother-in-law. He painted a portrait of my children. I sent him a photo and he did a wonderful job, and it is professionally framed and hung up in their house, and it is beautiful, and I'm very thankful because it captured one of the very few moments that my children were near each other and not trying to, like, I don't know, close a mousetrap on each other's fingers and like sucker punch and just nonsense. So anyway, wonderful young man. He's talented. He's a musician. He's an excellent storyteller. He's very funny. And he's a very nice person. And those things never, ever come together. And they're all in one human being. So if you don't listen to this, then fuck off, okay? So it is Phlegm Cat is the name of the podcast. And I can't spell, because when I went to iTunes, I didn't spell it correctly. So I'm going to spell it for you. It's P-H-L-E-G-M, Phlegm, as in cat, C-A-T. So check that out. It's on the iTunes. Is it called that anymore? It's on Apple's. Oh, fuck. Suck a dick. It's on the Apple Podcast app. Is that even correct? I don't know. Go find it. Leave him an iTunes review, you fucking jerks. I'm not getting any. He deserves one. He's a wonderful, talented gentleman. So go ahead and do that. And, if you need me for anything, let me tell you what I tell my kids. Fuck off. Anna. Anna.
No, Anna.
What am I saying?
Anna, and I'm saying Anna.
So you're saying Iana?
No, Anna.
Anna.
No, Anna. No. No.
Okay.
Anna.
Okay, let me try. Anna. Did I say it?
No, Anna.
Anna.
No, it's not Anna.
It's not Elsa and Anna?
No.
What is it?
Elsa and Anna.
Elsa and Anna. Did I do it?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so proud of myself. Okay.